Hi and welcome. In today's video, I'm going to give you a tutorial on how to make this flower bud granny square. I'm going to talk a little bit about the pattern just to give you an idea about what we're going to do. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about your color choices because that kind of makes a big difference in this pattern. And then we'll jump right into the tutorial. The technique for this pattern is very straightforward. We have two different rounds and we're just going to repeat them, which also gives you the opportunity to make this square however big or small you like it to be. I think all of these have different number of rounds, and again, make them small, make them big, however you like. Just depends on what you're going to use them for afterwards. We're going to do a round of granny square clusters or double crocheted clusters. So we're going to have 3 double crochets in a cluster, and we're just going to, the first round will just be a classic granny square round. Then we're going to work, so this will be a cluster round. Then we're going to work around where we're going to build up these small picots that we're going to have as our flower buds. And then we're just going to repeat the first round again, creating clusters. So cluster rounds and picot rounds all the way out. We're going to work with clusters and picots and also a lot of chains. And the chains can be tweaked a little bit to fit your crocheting style. So I will talk a little bit about that as we go, how you can change it depending on how tight you crochet and how you want your finished square to look. You can of course choose any kind of yarn you like, and of course also any kind of colors you like. I've done 3 different things here. So I have one here where all I really did was choose 2 colors and then just alternating between them. So my cluster rounds are the orange ones and the picot rounds are the yellow ones. And you can easily let your yarn sit between the rounds and pick it up on the next round, so you don't have to fasten off between each round. I found that that was pretty easy to do with this project. I also did multicolors. So these are actually, well, again, it doesn't look like it's the same pattern, but it is. So for this one, I changed colors between each cluster round, so purple, green, pink, and so on. And then I kept the picots in the white. So that will give you something like this if you choose to have your picots in the same color and do the color change on the clusters. For this other one, I did it the opposite way. So I kept the white one for the clusters, and then I changed color every time I was to do a picot. But you can do that any way you like. Just know that it does make quite a big difference how you choose to put your colors together. Let's get started on the tutorial. So I like to start with a slip knot on my hook, and I'm going to chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and I'm going to connect them and create a ring. If you prefer to only chain 3 or 4 for your ring, then you can of course go ahead and do that. I just find that it works better for me if I do 5. And you can of course also do a magic ring if you think that works better for you. We're going to start with the classic 3 double crochets. So I'm going to do 2 single crochets on top of each other, so stacked stitches, just because I really do like this method, and it gives us a nice top stitch to work in when we're going to end this round. But chain 3 if that is how you prefer to do your first double crochet, or any other way. So 3 double crochets next to each other, and then for the corners we're going to chain 2. And again, I'm just giving you for the chains, and I'm just going to give you the numbers that I find is working the best for me. But this is where you can experiment a little bit. If you want to do fewer or more chains between your clusters or in your corners, that is of course up to you. But I think this works best for me. So chain 2 for a corner, and we're going to do this until we have our 4 clusters with 3 double crochets in each and a chain 2 between each cluster. So my little granny square, the first round is done. I'm just going to go in on my top stitch. So that would be your third chain if you chain 3 in the beginning. And I'm going to slip stitch. And I'm going to fasten off. If you're continuing with the same color for your clusters, you can just let the color sit. I'm just going to fasten off because it's so much easier for you to see what I'm doing if I do the color change. So I just got rid of my yarn tails because it just makes it so much easier to see what I'm doing. We're going to attach a new yarn color and we're going to attach it between 2 double crochets. So I'm just picking one side, so that would be over here. You can of course attach your yarn any way you like. I like to put on a slip knot on my hook, and then we're going to start with a single crochet. So I'm just going in between the 2 double crochets, grabbing the yarn, coming up, and then I'm just going to, I have 2 loops on my hook. I'm just going to do my first single crochet like that. And this is the Picot round, so we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, and 3. We'll go into the first chain that we did, like that. Grab the yarn, pull it through, and pull it through the loop on your hook, like that. And then we go into the next space between the next 2 double crochets, and in there we're going to put a single crochet. So it looks like this. So single crochet between the first 2 double crochets, picot, and then a single crochet between the second and third double crochet. And then we're going to move over this corner, and I like to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. And it might look a little weird now, but on the next round you'll see how it works. So going in between the 2 double crochets over here, putting in a single crochet like that, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, go into the first chain, grab the yarn and slip stitch to create the picot, and then go in between the next 2 double crochets and put in a single crochet like that. Moving over this corner with a chain 3, in between the 2 double crochets, do a single crochet, chain 3, 1, 2, and 3, into the first chain, grab the yarn and pull through both loops. Go down between the next 2 double crochets and put in a single crochet. So that was my last chain 3. I'm just going to go into the single crochet that I did in the beginning, and I'm going to slip stitch, and this completes our first picot round. I'm going to go ahead and fasten off because again I don't want the yarn tails to confuse you, but you can easily let this one sit and wait for you for your next picot round. Now we're ready to start another cluster round, and our little picots can kind of look like they're the corners, but they're not. We have our chain 3 between the picots, and that is our corner. So you have to think about it this way. So just, can always count and make sure you have your 3 double crochets between each. I think it can only be a little bit confusing on the first round. After that, it becomes very obvious where your corners are and where your sides are. So I'm going to start with a new color. I'm going to start in a corner. You can do that any way you like, and attach the new color if you're changing color anywhere you like. I'm going to do a standing stitch. So I have my slip knot on my hook, and I'm just going to put the yarn over, hold it down with my finger, go in between both chains, so both the chain we did on the first round and on the second round. I'm going to grab the yarn and come up, still pressing down over here. Now I actually have 3 loops on my hook, so I'm just going to yarn over and go through 2, and yarn over and go through 2. And that creates our first double crochet as a standing stitch. And again, notice that we have a nice top stitch to work in up here. So this is a corner. So as with regular granny squares, we're going to build 2 sets of clusters, and we're going to have a chain 2 in between. So 3 double crochets, chain 2, and then another 3 double crochets in that same chain space, working over both sets of chains. So this is number 3. So this gives us our new corner. It looks like this. And then to get over to the next corner, we're going to chain 2. Again, you can play a little bit around. If you prefer to only do 1 chain, you can do that. Or you can do 3 if you need to. But you can test that out for yourself and with your crochet style. So another corner, so just going to repeat. 3 double crochets, chain 2, 3 double crochets, and then out of the corner, chain 2, and repeat until you have your 4 new corners and a total of 8 clusters. So I'm done with this round, and again, I chain 2 in the corners and I chain 2 between the corners. I just think that works best for me. Again, if you're going to continue with your the same color for your clusters, you can just let the yarn set. Or if you had your yarn from your Picots sitting somewhere, you could just pick that up. But I'm just going to attach mine. I'm just going to show you one more time how we do the Picot, because now we have a little more than 4. Again, you're working in your cluster. So for this round, we're going to do 8 Picots. So we can just start up here. Go in between your 2 double crochets. Create a single crochet or attach the yarn any way you like. Just start with a single crochet. Go in chain 3, go into the first chain, slip stitch to create your Picot. Go in between the 2 double crochets next to it and put in a single crochet. And again, I like to chain 2 to get over the Picots down here, so into the next space. And then for the Picot round, I like to chain 3 in the corners. I find that that works the best for me. And then you're just going to repeat that all the way around, and you can go back to a cluster round. One last thing I want to mention about this pattern is you definitely need to stop, or your last round needs to be a cluster round, because otherwise it will look like this, and that is not really a square. We want the square look. So again, going over a corner, I definitely go with a chain 3. And just remember, after this round and you're going back to your clusters, remember to crochet over both chains. As you can see from the bottom of the blue double crochets here, you will cover it up nicely. You won't be able to tell. So just remember to work over those and then end on a cluster round. And I actually like to do, for my cluster rounds, I actually like to do only a chain 1 between the clusters. I still do a chain 2 in the corners, but on this very last round, I actually only have a chain 1 in between the clusters, because I think that works best when it's the last round. If I have a chain 2, I think the square becomes a little bit uneven, but it works fine when I need the space to add the flower pots. That was all for today. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I'll see you in the next video. Have a great day.